it seemed like everybody want to be a boss these days. Everybody want to be a boss till it's time to pay out, you feel me? Till it's time to pay that boss cost. They ain't trying to have them tough conversations. Ain't trying to put in them extra hours, catching that windfall money, dealing with folks not being consistent. Don't get me started on the lack of sleep, but you know what they say.
Boss Life, BOSSFEST, Bossfest Podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right. BOSSFEST, the Bossfest Podcast. They might make you laugh, make you mad, make you cry. Either way it go, it's a vibe. Tune in, catch the topic, get the tea. Ain't no shallow waters over here, we get deep. You sensitive, easy to offend, you need to flee. But them tough conversations gonna be happening. Bossfest Podcast, they hold it down. Wednesday, 7 Eastern, man, it's going down. Tell a friend to tell a friend and y'all gather round. Get active in the comments, don't get lost in the crowd.
Hey, what's happening? It's your man DJ Bush. I had to show love to Kevin and Edwina Bossfest Butler. Y'all know what time it is. The Bossfest Podcast. But you already know what we live in.
Boss Life. BOSSFEST, the Bossfest Podcast. Each and every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, guaranteed to get you right.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Bossfest Podcast. How y'all doing today? Listen. We got a good one. But before we get into that, I got to check in with my wife, see how she doing. How you doing, babe?
I am doing good. I had a really good full day today. Listen, when you be introducing us, it just be doing something to me. I'm like, what you think you is a radio personality there?
Listen, I'm trying to create energy. I'm trying to create a buzz. So
but you be like, welcome.
Well, I'm trying to give it cadence, you know. Get the energy going. Sometimes you need that in life. You just need something that gives energy.
You just need to bring your... Okay, fair enough. I've had an exhausting week, 2 weeks, whatever. 2025. I don't know, 2025 already, you know, we've been moving and shaking out here.
I got it, because you in these boss streets. Typically, it's me out here in these streets, but it's you this time, huh?
I am in the streets right now. I don't know if... I love the interactions in the streets, but I don't like the not sleeping at home when you're in the streets. But neither here nor there. I'm here.
Neither here nor there. We are here tonight. A lot of exciting things happened this past weekend. Black Market event went down, Winter Haven, Florida. We got to be the host, get to speak with, not the host, we got to be the...
I was going to say, I don't think, you know...
I didn't say, let me rephrase myself. Listen, I can admit that I misspoke. I didn't mean to say host. We hosted the podcast segment that allowed for businesses to be able to get on a platform, expand their brand, talk about their business and things like that. So we definitely grateful to Big Z and Simone for allowing us the opportunity to partake in the Black Market this weekend. Great event, great energy. I can't wait for any events that they put together because I know it's going to be something amazing. So it was just an exciting time this weekend with that. And I'm loving the energy I'm seeing from social media, from all of that. It was just a good weekend, but it was full. It was work. I knew it was going to be work, but I didn't expect it to be that much work, but it was fun work.
It was definitely very fun. A lot of lessons learned from that event. Huge shout out to the Bossfest team. I want to say a lot of things happen because you have a great team around you and coming together and making things happen because of the team behind us, supporting us. Again, there were just a lot of lessons learned, but I thank those ladies for allowing us to be out there with the podcast and getting back to the core of what Bossfest is, because I feel like a lot of people, watch us on Wednesday, or you go back and you watch the replay of what this is, and sometimes we watch it for the messiness of like, oh, what they're gonna talk about at this point, what it's gonna be, and people don't realize like the core of Boss Fest is the entrepreneurship and the journey of that. So in the messiness of it, it's really our journey in entrepreneurship. You know, what those interactions, those connections, and business sometimes can be messy.
Business sometimes can be messy, but we need to get into this topic.
I think that was a perfect segue to get into this topic. So let's go.
And this topic for tonight is, are you in business for the fun? And sometimes when we think about business, we don't think about what all that encompasses. And what I mean by that is, as I've gotten older, I've now realized everything that we do should be seen in some type of business format or business light. Relationships, politics, religion. Like the more older I get, the more I start to realize all the things people were doing were based off of putting themselves in better positions for a better outcome. And I see why people keep jumping. I won't necessarily say jumping ship. I see why people keep, trying to rediscover themselves in different ways. I guess I'll kick this thing out with religion. Sometimes, people change, they change denominations. They may change just a setting in their church environment, things of that nature. Like, man, sometimes an environment can become just so draining on you. You need it. It's a part of your life. It's an investment you got to put in yourself. But those things can become so draining in certain places that you got to make a business decision and be like, you know what? Maybe this ain't the place for me. And I know for me personally, the God is the forefront of our lives and things of that nature. But I just can't sit in somebody's church every day and listen to people preach and be like holier than thou. And I'll be like, man, bro, your hypocrite sheet longer than mine. It's worse than mine. Like, bro, like how can you preach to people when you flawed? But the older I get, I realize everybody's flawed. I'm just trying to find the person with the least amount of flaws so that I can be like, you know what? I can at least sit here and listen to this.
I mean, I guess I just want to say, like, to what you're saying, I guess, right? Like, I won't say that I have a lot of, like, agreements with the statement. So if you're talking about, I guess religion, which I don't even know how, like, that really got there.
I just started with them.
To just say, I think what I look for is the person the closest in alignment to where I feel like I find myself. And that's the same in business. Because if you're talking about in business, when you're looking for like those partnerships and like, I'm saying your people, your business people, I look for the people that are closest aligned to what my like goals are my vision. And that becomes my tribe. So for me, it's the same as, religion per se.
No, absolutely. And the more I interact in this space, the more I understand that every decision that I'm making is to put myself in a better outcome. And I realize that there are decisions I made in 2023 that may give growth to something I'm doing in 2025. And there's connections I did in 2024 that may not bear any fruit in 2025, but maybe it may come back around for 2026. So I have no clue what the next thing may be or what it may create in certain spaces. But I realized I don't know if I want to say friendships or not. I'm gonna say associates right now. I know we said friendships or business, but I'm making a lot of business decisions around friendships, associates. That, man, some people I'm elevating, some people I'm demoting. It's just part of the game right now. And it looked like Edwina might have dropped off, but before she get back on here, I'm gonna see how much trouble I can get into, and we're gonna go from there. So, one place in this business game that I didn't really see becoming an issue was politics, right? And I didn't know the political landscape was going to create such an environment for us as a community that we would now start second guessing, that we would start second guessing and questioning some of our closest allies, right? But this political game has gotten so dang messy that it almost have you looking at people that you thought were on your team in a different light. So it almost got you asking yourself, like, man, how do I? You back? Nope.
Yeah, no, so I am back, which is crazy because I got a phone call and it completely like threw the sound off, but I think I'm back.
Yeah, I hear you.
You can hear me just fine?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, that was crazy.
No, but while you was out, I kind of segued into like how politics had kind of shaped like our perspectives, our perception of people, to a point where now we're questioning those relationships from a business dynamic. Like, man, it's people, we thought you'd be rocking with, rolling with, but the political landscape has created so much energy where it almost have you looking at people that you thought were friends. And I'm using the word friend loosely, but I'm gonna say a good associate. We'll change it to that differently now.
I mean, I feel like that is just such still, again, I don't know where it's going with are we in business for fun, but definitely a topic for today's climate, right? So I'm glad that you brought it back so that I could speak on it, because I feel like that's huge. With looking at social media, and me personally, just for my mental health, I've like taken a step back from a lot of like those things that are going on social media, where a lot of people are saying, we can't have different views and still be cool and still be friends. And I don't know if you said it or not, but I think what they're missing is it's not that you can't have different views, because I love for my friends, and I'm using friends not loosely, but very intentionally, because to be a friend of mine, it takes a lot, like for me to call you friend. But let's say to be a friend of mine, I love to be challenged, and I love for us to have different views, and for you to tell me about your views, and maybe it opens my eyes to understand and learn something different because of what you're bringing into my life. So that is a completely different than what we're talking about, challenging someone's morals. So like my morals and where I stand for what I want my family to believe in, how I raise my children, what I want for my, like what I want for our household is completely different than you having, different views as far as politics go. Sometimes there is a line that you have to draw in the sand, and what this campaign and the, political views that are happening right now has shown us is maybe the people who we now, let me use the word friend very loosely, and say that we call friends, probably should have never been in our circles in the first place.
So we out here making bad business decisions in friendships, huh?
Yes, and I guess that kind of is what ties it all together, because if you look at everything as a business relationship, because a lot of times we'll joke and we'll say, like, this marriage is a business, you know what I mean? And I can't have bad business with you. Like, my credit is tied to you. My future is tied to you. So in this business, we got to make good business decisions, right? In this business of marriage that we're talking about. So in this business of friendship, when I think about the friends that I have around me, the friends that have been able to continue to grow with me, help me grow as a person. Like when we have conversations, you're allowed to tell me, hey friend, I don't like how you move. I think you're better than that. And me to take a step back and think, damn, I didn't think of it that way, but I appreciate you bringing that to me. And I am better than that. I can grow from what this conversation is. I think that's completely different than what we're talking about as, hey, we moved in some kind of circles and now you align with this. And I'm like, oh, hold on. But don't keep calling out people for how they believe, because what we're talking about in like this political climate, as we want to call it, it's not just that, oh, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. These are life views. And it's almost, I think I can relate it as close to like people talking about other people's religion. Because, when you're talking about someone's religion, people believe in their religion wholeheartedly. It's just that serious. So if people need a place to like relate it to, and like, how do we place it? place it there. Like, don't talk, like, you don't want to talk about someone's religion because you feel like, hey, I don't want to disrespect you. What you're doing right now for some of us that believe certain things is you're disrespecting us. So you're not making us come to the table and say, oh, you know what? Maybe we could be cool because you believe this and I believe that. You're creating a larger divide because we're saying not only have you believed this and I didn't know that's who you are, but I see you, but now you're going to make a mockery over what I believe, and it's not okay. So yes, now in the business of networking and, you know, of creating those type of friendships, it's time to draw the line. And for me, like, have we been playing in business? Maybe we've been playing in circles, but 2025 has taught me I'm no longer playing. Like, it's time to not play for me.
I don't know. I'm divided on how I approach that narrative. I still believe.
What narrative do you mean? Like, elaborate on that.
I believe right now that the political environment has created a very toxic place for us as a country, and I think the bulk of what we want is the same. It's the approach, and it's what you're willing to tolerate. And I think like with any business, like you can look at a situation like, man, you know what? This might be very profitable, but is it worth losing this? And I'll compare it. You know what?
Yeah, because what I'm about to ask you to do is elaborate. Like, what do you mean? What can be very profitable?
So I'll compare it to this. So think about it. So if somebody said, hey, if somebody would have come to me and said, hey, Kevin, I got a business proposition for you right now, right? Now, there's an opportunity for you to grow your brand, your company, get everything you want to do, put yourself in the limelight. All you got to do is go to one of Puff Daddy's parties. Is that worth me compromising myself to get to what the good business may be? But do I lose me in trying to?
But let's be for real. Before Puff Daddy came out, before, like, I don't want to say came out, before we realized that Puff Daddy is, let's call him like the monster that they're creating, he is. Right. But before then, if someone said, Kevin, you want to go to a P. Diddy party, where you're not going to be like, hey, let's go, let's ride? Like, so be for real.
There's a difference between what you know and what you don't. So if you didn't have a knowledge of it, and you went to make the business decision based off of things that you wasn't aware of, it's different than I'm looking at this situation. I can tell that the way that this person moves is not the way I agree with. Why would I continually put myself in a space where it seems like I'm aligned with their views? It doesn't make sense. So to me, while I could profit huge if I just say, you know what, let me compromise myself. Is it truly worth it? And that's how I look at this political landscape right now. I feel like a lot of people like, man, what we need in our life and what we need in our country, we need this. So I'm willing to sacrifice these certain characteristics that I would typically hold at a higher regard, because if I have to sacrifice this to achieve this, then it's worth it. I think sometimes in business, you know, those are tough decisions. Some of us say, hey, it's worth the sacrifice, so they sacrificing it. Other people like, you know what, we can't go that route. It just is what it is. We got to cut ties. The cost of business is way too high for me. And that's what I think the political climate right now has created within our society. Do people say, is this cost of doing business too high, or is it not high enough?
I mean, I guess for me, trying to understand how you were relating, I guess the two was a little like, yeah, I was trying, but
whatever.
I mean, when I think about like some of the business relationships that I've had throughout the years, because even thinking back, I'm like, I can't even believe we've been doing this business thing for the amount of time that we have. It feels like yesterday we just kind of like started doing this. But thinking about some of the connections we made and some of the partnerships we were trying to build, when I think about how those things fell apart, it almost felt like, man, was I playing in business? And the reason why I say, like, was I playing in business at that time? Because I was trying to create relationships instead of really being about my business. And some of those things fell apart because I'm like, hey, I got to do good business here and do what's right for like what the business needs instead of what I'm trying to create as far as like a relationship or this connection. And then it becomes like you have to think about things and say, you know, am I doing this business for fun? Is this connection just for fun? Are we trying to get something out of it? So I guess in trying to relate that to what you're saying, like with the political thing, I think now it's time to take things a little bit more seriously. And some connections maybe should not be connections, as I said before. I am learning a lot about myself and then realizing that people that are solid will gravitate towards you and people that are not will almost separate themselves from you.
I don't even want to define it as solid or not. I get what you're saying. I just think that there could be solid people. They can have good intentions, but maybe y'all just
Okay.
don't mesh.
Right,
And
right.
and and
Okay.
that and that's where I want to define that a little bit better. Like there are gonna be some people that we're gonna mesh with better than others. It doesn't mean that there wasn't a potential to have something good together. It just means that we might have been playing in our business for fun. There are some connections we made. It felt good to be in it. But when you look at it from a true avenue, like, this really is bad business. But it felt good in the moment. Oh man, we get to laugh, we get to joke, we get to play. It's a different type of energy here with you and this stuff like this. But like, man, but is this really moving the needle for me? Does this get me to the goal? Or does this just makes me feel good about saying I'm in business? And I'm trying to get out of that space. And
I think that like you I guess hit something home with me on that because I was just thinking about as you were talking like some relationships like we've made some decisions based on like being in the fun of things that were actually bad business moves, but to try to keep the fun going, right, or the relationship or the connection going, we've made a
right.
bad business decision, almost sometimes like knowing it's not the best decision for our business but for the fun of it. And like, how many times does that happen where that's just not good business?
And you would think that people that's been together as long as we would learn from these mistakes, but it's still a challenge. Like relationships, it's it truly is a business. When you choose somebody, when you say, all right, this is the person I want to commit myself to, I want to have my kids, or I want to create that family divide with, it's based off of business decisions. If you actually choose the person that you thought you was gonna have the most fun with, I've seen people who choose the person that they felt like they had the most fun with and have terrible relationships and terrible marriages and stuff like that. Because once the fun dies and now it's time to handle business, nobody knows how to move. And like I said, early in our relationship, you know, out here in these streets trying to have fun, trying to do other. And I had to sit to myself and say, man, you know what? I got to make a business decision. Like, what makes most sense right now? Playing around or committing myself into a place where if I got someone pregnant, would hold me down, would hold my kids down. If I get sick, would they hold me down? Like, those are the business decisions in relationships people got to start taking serious, because a lot of people out there still playing. They playing in relationships. A lot of people, quote unquote, playing in their marriage, but they know damn well if they get sick or they fall ill or something happen, they know they looking at their spouse like, you know what? I don't even know if you're gonna ride for me like that. And that's gonna be a bad place to be at when you have to really cross that path.
No, 100%. I mean, there is just there's a lot of playing in people connections as a whole. And I've like we've spoken on this before on the podcast. Like I just find it hard to be able to sometimes tell people's true intentions and like if they're genuine, if people are honestly for you or not. Sometimes for me, it takes a while to be able to see what that really looks like. But when you're talking about like, are you playing in business? I think it comes down to like just relationships with people. Are you playing in those connections? Because people will play in your face And like when I said, like, I don't remember what podcast it was, like, look, I want people playing in my face. And what that truly means is like, look, if you're not doing your business for real, if you're not really trying to make a connection, if it's just for show, I just may not be the right person to do that with, because on the trajectory that I'm on, there's now a different path. Like I played for a while, right? Like we played in business for a while and we've thrown away thousands of dollars. That's just not where I am right now. So I got to take things for real. And like my recess is over. So, and that's like a lot of what I mean. Like I had my recess time. If you still on recess, we just probably not aligned right now.
I don't know. I just think everything you do, you learn something new, you grow from it, you adapt, you try to figure out the next play.
So what you're saying is people can still play with you. You learning lessons from playing.
I'm saying I don't know what the next lesson may prove, what the next lesson may provide.
Because I wanted to say that word.
I missed something up. I'm I'm trying my best to minimize past mistakes, but I don't want to limit myself from reaching something great.
Future mistakes based on what you learned from the
based off of past interactions, right?
Okay.
So I don't want to limit myself and be like, man, you know what? I know what happened with such and such, or I remember what this situation was, so I don't even want to step in that space no more. Now what I do is if I walk into those spaces, I'm like, all right, I know what can happen if this goes this way or this way, so maybe I can pivot better, or maybe I can minimize the blowback and make sure that it doesn't have the impact that a devastating impact per se.
I can understand what you're saying. I mean, like, let's talk about like those partnerships. Like, so we're talking about like our relationship being a partnership in business, but we are actually partners in business. And partners in business means that neither one of us, like if we're in business and you playing, but I'm for real, like how does our business actually function and thrive if you in business for fun while I'm over here trying to, get us to the $1 million mark?
It don't. How can you be successful on only 50% energy? If it's two of us and you giving 100 and I'm giving 0, that's 50%. The business dies. Even sometimes if both people are giving 100%, it don't mean that the business is going to be successful, but it definitely isn't going to move the needle if one person is giving 100, the other person is giving nothing, and vice versa. Or, it keeps alternating. Maybe now I'm the one giving 100 and you're giving 50 or giving nothing. Like it's a delicate balance to that, but you hope that the person that you are in business with believes in the vision, believes in the process, believes in the goal. So even if there is some decrease in productivity, we're still striving to be productive. And things come along that, change motivations. You just got to adapt.
Right, but that's easy to say. But if you have someone in business in your partnership and you're putting in 100% and they're putting in, even if they're putting in 25%, right? They're just not completely trash, but they're putting in 25%, but you giving it 100%, that makes that partnership hard, and you start resenting that person. So when you're talking about partnerships in business and one person is in business for fun, I'm in business to showboat on social media and wave and kiss babies, but I don't want to do any of the hard work. Like, I just feel like that business is destined for failure, like you said. So why, like, those are the type of things that I feel like you should end early. And based on some of the lessons, like the earlier lessons that we've learned, like my advice to anyone would be like, man, if you're in a partnership with someone and they don't feel like they giving it all, just cut ties like early, because it just makes things hard to try to proceed and keep that thing alive if you're already starting off on the wrong foot.
I guess. Honestly, and this may be controversial, I think people really don't want to do business. They just want to do fun. I think a lot of people is in here for the show of it, right? They want to convince people that, hey, I am business, or I am the person that you should believe is in business or move a certain way. But that's it with them. There's nothing else beyond that. And it's a lot of people, a lot of energy, a lot of entities out here that gives business energy all the time. You see them, you're like, man, they business. But when you really just go beyond a little bit of that junk, you're like, man, this is all just mirrors.
Flow.
Like what are you for real? What is your brand? What is your goal? What is your purpose? And sometimes it's like, man, my business is to emulate that I'm doing business that I'm not doing.
And I know you said that was going to be a controversial statement, but in all honesty, now that's a statement that I feel like I have to wholeheartedly agree with, because I've seen so many different businesses really look like from the outside, like the outside shell looked, like all glitz and glamour. And then when you peel back a few layers, you're like, this is not at all what I thought I was getting when I've seen it. And those are the type of people that you would say, like, are you in it for fun? Because business is hard work. Like, we say that all the time. Like, it's not easy doing it day in, day out. Sometimes, like, you don't get any, reward from it. Sometimes business costs more than you make. But a lot of people like to look like business owners and like the title CEO, opposed to the work that you have to do to actually sustain a business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I won't say for once, but I'm going to agree with you on that.
It's okay to agree with your business partner now.
I'm not saying that it's not okay, but I am saying that I have definitely seen those shells. I mean, to me, in 2025, a lot of things present themselves as something that they're not. I think that's pretty much the whole basis of the conversation. When you're talking about friendships, relationships, business partners, I think you get into those things because of the glitz and glamour and what it's perceived to be. And when you pull back a few layers, you're like, this ain't what I signed up for. So, I mean, I can even take the conversation, full circle, because you were talking about, political or whatever. The same people that have infiltrated our structure and have perceived themselves to be friends, and now they're like, hey, we could still be cool even though our views are different. You gave the perception that looks like someone that aligned with my views, but now I've been able to pull back those few layers of personality, and it shows who you really are, and I'm just not buying what it really looks like. So I think it's the same thing. And when we're talking about, relationships as a whole, people present this shiny exterior. And once you look at it, you get that item outside of the store, that ain't what you want.
You know what? Now that's it right there. You go into business, you make a decision in business, or you made some investment or something. You thought it was what you wanted. You get exactly, they told you what you was finna get. And you realize, ooh, that ain't really what I wanted. But like, was you not paying attention to the same information I was paying attention?
No, because now what you're doing is you slide talking the whole election into this conversation.
I ain't slide
what
talking.
I said, sir, was you pull back the layers of that person, and it's not what you signed up for. So,
is that not what people signed up for?
So I don't know, because like, if we bring that back to the earlier point in this conversation, what I said was, I'm tired of social media, because people are saying like, ooh, like, we stand with this, and this is exactly what we wanted. Like, they're doubling down in some points of this. And why are we separating ourselves from these individuals? Because we're doubling down. And all I'm saying is, it's fine for you to double down. It is fine for you to have your views. It is fine for you to say, this is exactly what I bought from the store, and I'll take 2, please. But don't make me have to want that, because that's not what I asked for. And if you buy that certain product at the store, it may have me looking at you sideways, and maybe I don't like that type of product or people who utilize it.
So I can't slide, but you can slide. Ain't that a bitch?
I mean, I was just co-signing what you said.
Wow. So I can't slide. All right.
I was just I was co-signing you sliding flick comments in the conversation.
So just know, hey, just know here, I'll speak for me personally. Listen, if that's the business you voted for, I am happy for your business.
If that's the business you voted for.
Listen, if that's the business that you voted for, I am happy for you in your business endeavors. I hope they work out for you. I wish you success. But me and my business gonna take a back seat to see how your business endeavors work out. And if you need any help, just know I have to focus on my business. That's all I'm gonna
So
say.
I mean, I guess to your point is I'm very focused on my business, and I plan to use 2025 not almost as a head down, go to work type season, but there's a lot of work that I feel like I have to do on myself, on my business, on my family. So that's where the focus lies for us. Like, we're already working on 2025 Boss Fest, right? Like, we know the date, we know where it will be. We're getting those panels in line and doing the work that we need to do. I don't have time for the distractions. And sometimes distractions come to you in the way of people who thought that they were aligned with you. And what it really takes is for them to understand you were never in line with where I was, or you were never in line in what these views were. You presented yourself as something that you weren't. So it's now time to relook at that. And I guess however you say it, whatever that looks like. But for me, it's moving forward in the different endeavors, and people can like whatever they like. For me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm done with that particular thing. You just understand where I stand as an
It could be
individual.
vice versa with that then. Like people could
Yeah.
look at like, hey man, the way that we thought y'all were moving in y'all business, we thought we was aligned, but we realized no, y'all on some other stuff. We don't like it. So I think those things are okay. I think it's okay in business to look at someone that you partner with, you saw yourself move to, that you thought maybe this would be a good play, and be like, you know what? It's just, we may have to step back right now. I'm one of those people. I don't never like to burn bridges. I don't burn bridges. I don't burn connections.
Which means that you
I
play
don't play.
you play the line. In order
I'm
to
not
not
playing the
burn the
line.
bridge, then you play the line. Like, you play both sides of the fence. That's what they
Nope.
say. You play both
Nope.
sides of the fence.
And
If you
I
don't
think
ever
that's a
want to
bad
burn the
analogy.
bridge, and
I think that's a bad analogy. I don't think you always have to destroy everything. And I think that's the problem with the world. We always think we have to destroy things that we don't necessarily agree with or don't align with. All I'm saying is, listen, I'm going to make sure that however situations end, they end with a clear understanding of, hey, listen, this is where we are at. I understand your views. While I may or may not agree with them, I respect your view. I now move this way. I didn't burn the bridge.
so I'm giving you a hard time, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. I do think, like, in most situations, I am very, like, level-headed. People can talk to me about whatever it is, and if I don't agree with your view, I can still understand where you're coming from. I think that's a clear difference, right? And I think it's okay to not burn bridges, especially when you're talking about views, right? Like, I think everyone has their own different point of view, and a lot of that comes from, like, how we were raised and we grew up. A lot of your views are shaped from childhood, and I think it's okay. I love to learn about someone else's different views and maybe see the world a little bit differently. So I do agree with what you're saying about blowing things up. Now, however, I will say, when you're talking about certain views, right, especially when it comes to maybe like racism, um you know, being sexist, probably like women's rights, like things like that, right? Like things that are like my core may be built on, right? Because like some things I can't change. I can never change that I'm a woman, and I can never change that I'm a black woman, right? So when you come after those things, it's not that you're telling me about a view. You're directly attacking the individual who I am, and that's different than having a point of view. You're the one who started the fight with the attack. And I don't think people realize that.
I,
Or
I
maybe
hear
they
you.
do. Okay.
Listen, maybe not. Who knows? I just know I'm seeing a lot of things happening, and I know my head is not down. My head is up because I have to pay attention to all surroundings. But I am focused on my business and my brand. I don't have the time or the energy to help you out of your business decision that you wanted.
So you keep saying business decision.
It's a business decision.
But it feels like you're talking about, like a certain decision in itself.
I think it's everything. I think, listen, so think about it. So think about a friendship, right? There are certain friendships out there that are just toxic for people, but they continuously stay in them.
Yes.
There are certain relationships out there that are just completely toxic for people. They continue to stay in them.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain work environments, 9-to-5 job environments that you wake up miserable, but you continue to get up and punch that clock, but you're miserable. You continue to stay in it. And then what them people do is they bring all that negative energy to somebody to hear it all the damn time. Man, I can't stand such and such. Man, I hate my job. Man, I don't do the da-da-da. Okay. You done said this. You done said it once. I'm tired of listening to it. I can't even focus on you no more. I'm done. Either change it or shut up about it. That's all I'm saying. That's my focus. I'm gonna give you one time to get it out your system. If you complaining about the same damn boss that you've been complaining about for the past 5 years, that ain't shit and don't want to give you a raise or a promotion or anything like that, then why you still there? Why you still working for them? Leave. If you're talking about the same person that you've been in a relationship with that's unfaithful and don't want to commit and don't want to do this and do that, but you still there, it's you. It's
so are you calling people out on them being a problem?
I'm saying sometimes you got to recognize that you might be the problem within that business.
People do not know how to recognize that they're the problem.
That is a lie. I'm giving people way more credit than that.
Because I've been in certain situations where I've been the bad guy, right? And so I won't say all people don't know how to recognize it, because I like when you hear the story repeated, right? You're somehow the bad guy. And I take ownership for a lot of the behavior that I do. Like if I go back and I like tell a story, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I gotta take fault. That was me. My bad. But sometimes it is the other person and like views weren't aligned. But when you hear the story, it's like it's never them. It's never you. Even when you're talking about like on a 9-to-5 job and like I have employees. So when I ask you, hey, XYZ didn't happen, it's never them though. It's always, oh, because of this, I couldn't do it. Because of this, I couldn't do it. Like people love to make excuses and not take accountability.
It's bad business. So sometimes like we in the business for the fun of it because it's attractive. But once the fun dies, and now we got to really deal with what's there, do we really know how to get out of it? And a lot of people get stuck in those places. And I'm not telling this to nobody that I've been there. I was in one of those places where, like, man, I know this is bad business. I know I can't stand to do this, but because I have invested so much into it, I feel like I can't leave it. I can't escape it, right? So it's not that I don't understand that, hey, you've been in a relationship. So we've been in a relationship 20 years, and 10 of those years have been just complete hell. But we've got 20 years together. We got kids, we got home, we got property together, we got certain things, but there's been some turmoil in that crap. It may be hard for someone to step away from that. I get it. But you can't keep complaining about it if you're not really wanting to put in the effort to make it better or change it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying 2025. I'm saying Kevin Butler moving forward. It don't matter the damn year. Listen, I'm focused on me. I'm focused on my brand. I'm focused on my business. I ain't got time to help everybody else. Last podcast, you said you had a word. I think I kind of played around with some words and stuff like that.
Like a word for the year?
Yeah, like a word for the year, right? And
go ahead.
My word for the year may be selfish. I think Kevin Butler's word for 2025 is going to be Kevin is going to be selfish. I'm going to selfishly make myself a priority.
Okay.
And if I selfishly make myself a priority, those things that fall under my priority will benefit. But if I'm giving my energy to everything else and this situation and that situation, I'm not making myself the priority, then things under me suffer too. So listen, I'm my word for 2025 is selfish. I ain't said this in 2025 yet, but put it on the shirt.
You have already said that in 2025 15 times, sir.
Selfish 2025. Put it on
And
the shirt.
I think it's okay to be selfish. What I think though, it is time to take accountability, right? So when you're talking about whether you're playing in business or you're playing in relationships or whatever, if you want to be a different you than you were yesterday, it's time to stop playing, right? In certain relationships and certain things, like when I think I want to have learned lessons from some of the things that we're about, when I'm like, hey, you know, why isn't my business progressing the way that I want? Let me think about the lesson that is in it for me. And was I playing in business? Like, was that fun to have that relationship and do whatever? But it didn't take me from point A to point B. Like, these are now things that I have to start thinking about because I see progression and I have a goal that I need to reach. So sometimes it can't be fun. Sometimes you got to put the work in if you want to be successful. And right now, like the work to go to your selfish, the work is on us. The work is on our business. It's not for fun out there. And everybody ain't going to get the same version of us because we not playing anymore.
Oh man. You know, that's gonna be a shock to people, right?
What's going to be a shock?
When the version they were used to getting of someone changes and you now become their villain.
Right. And that's what I said before. Like, you become the bad guy. No one ever thinks, well, I wonder what I have done to change that narrative. Like, what was my part I played in this? Could I have not said that? Did they feel like I attacked this? Did they feel like XYZ? People always look at you and your reaction to it. It's never, should I think about this? It's not. And
yeah, you always overreacting. I know I did this, but you just overreacting.
Right.
It wasn't that bad. You're overreacting. Yeah, people always judge.
Take your emotion out of it. But when you take your emotion out of something, like someone tells you to take your emotion out of it, it's almost like you take your emotion out of it so I can assert my emotion into it. Like, be for real about that. Like, and when I tell people, like, you don't get the same version of me, and people are like, oh, you shouldn't be emotional about things. I make decisions every day, and I make them, like, whether I'm talking about in business, my business, this 9-to-5 corporation that pays me to like handle, you know, sales associates, right? But I make decisions a lot of the time based on emotion, which is why when you go into an interview, that interviewer typically has a sheet that they got to answer, right? Because they want them to take as much emotion as they can out of that situation. But what do people normally hire? How did that person make me feel? Yes, you answer X, Y, Z. How do I feel like they relate to me personally? How do they connect in my world? That's typically where people think. And most times your decisions are made off of emotion. So when people say that to me, it feels like a way to just victimize you. Like, don't tell me to take my emotion out so then you can then insert yours in, which is why certain people have to get different versions of you.
I like that. Listen, I like that one. So people want you to take your emotions out so they can insert their emotions in and then judge you off of your emotions.
Right. While they're busy being very emotional.
While their emotions are overflowing, but your emotions was just a reaction to the situation.
Right, because everything is emotional, right? Like, even when you're talking about this podcast, like, we're just having a basic conversation, but it's still driven off the emotions that we felt. And a lot of times it goes back to, again, like our beliefs. Our beliefs are typically shaped from our childhood, right? So I can believe something about, you know, relationships or whatever, because that's what I've seen growing up is these type of relationships. So if you then attack my thoughts behind relationships, it can arise, like emotion can come from that. That's a natural human reaction. I have an emotion, whatever that emotion may be behind what you said. That happens 1,000 times a day. But what I'm saying is, in like this whole like business playing for fun, none of those things am I allowing anymore. So the easiest thing to say, which is like, I don't know, for the whole last 2024, my favorite thing was to say I'm not letting people play in my face. Like people took that as like a threat, like you can't play in my face, or like I feel
you
some
was
type of way
threatening
about that.
people.
Right. Like, but no one should allow somebody to play in their face. Like I am advocating for all of us in business to say, like, I don't want you to play in my face. Like, I'm not in the business for the fun of it. I'm in it for the growth. And
Maybe you got to define it better. Maybe it was your approach to playing in my face. Like you just said playing in my face and you left it very broad. Like
because people don't understand what playing in my face means. They don't understand it.
I don't know. Maybe listen. So what is playing in my face? Like, man, I ain't gonna let you lie to me. I ain't gonna let you try to hustle me. I ain't gonna let you try to manipulate me. Like maybe I'll let you talk a little shit, but all the other stuff I ain't gonna let you do.
So it's all of the above, right? And it's like, so the biggest thing when someone says playing in your face, it's almost like a fake individual, right? Because a lot of times before they like coin that phrase, people have a great way to put on a persona in front of you, right? And it's you ever been somewhere and someone's like, oh my God, it's you, Kevin, oh my God. And the whole time you're thinking, that person don't even like me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you're at a corporate event. Maybe that's the same age. No.
They do like you.
Listen, I'm setting the tone for you. So maybe you're at a corporate event and this person just sent an email, right, to like your boss, right? Here's talking about how your work ethic is not in line with what they need it to be. And your boss takes that email and uses it to coach you on your performance, right?
Okay.
But what your boss does is tells you where the email came from. So you like, oh, hold on, Sally Sue is now hating on me because whatever. But the moment Sally Sue gets to see you, it's, hey, Kevin, I couldn't wait to see you, my favorite person. You do so great at XYZ. The same XYZ that they just wrote an email about saying how you were underperforming and you lacked in, right? Because people will do that. And what I'm saying is, in that example, that person is playing in your face because now you have information that they don't perceive you to have, stating that they don't do you and they don't believe you perform well, but they don't know it.
So what you're saying is everybody should operate like, if you put out some negative energy to people, you should operate that these people know it already. So don't even attempt to play the game.
So maybe I should say better, right? Let's use a term, let's say stand on business, right? Because maybe I'm saying, right, so maybe that will help people understand it well. What I'm saying is, if Sally Sue, in my example, don't do Kevin, then Sally Sue don't be in Kevin's face saying, oh my God, I'm so excited to see you, Kevin, because you're really not. Stand on that same business that you did when you sent the email about how I underperformed. So that's all I'm saying. People love to like throw things out there and hide their hand. So if you don't believe that the business that Kevin does is well, just stay away from Kevin. That's it. Stand on that same business. So it's the same concept, whether you're saying, because once you don't stand on business, then you start playing in somebody's face. They go hand in hand.
It's the same thing. Listen.
I'm not going to say they're the same thing, but they definitely left hand, right hand. Because if you stand on business, then there's no need for you. Nobody can say you playing in their face because you stood on that business. Hey, this is the issue that I had. I brought the issue to you is XYZ, just so you know that's how I'm going to operate going forward. Stood on business. I understand now how we can see that. That dude ain't never played in my face because he told me what it was. And hopefully those of you that are watching will feel like I've explained those two things as much as I got an amen. That's all I'm saying. I got an amen in the comments. And all I'm saying is moving forward, that's how I want to operate with people. No love lost, but I want people to understand that the version of me that you get is the truth and honest version. If it's not okay, then I want to be able to approach you. You know what I'm saying? Like if we have a relationship, hey, Kevin, I just didn't like XYZ. And you dang, you didn't? Like, how can we fix this? I don't know if we can fix it. I just feel some type of way. All right, well, blah, blah, blah. Squash it. We done. You knew how I felt. You know how it was. We stood on business and we move forward. That's not how people act nowadays. They want to throw you out there or throw you under the bus and then act like they didn't. So, and that part isn't cool. So that's what I mean by don't play in my face. Like, don't think that, like words don't come full circle. And while they do, I just no longer have the energy for the key, right?
Man, every story needs a villain. It ain't a story without a villain. It ain't a story without a villain.
And I guess I have to still be that. But what I'm saying is I'll be your villain in the story, but don't bring that activity to my front door. Like, there's no longer an open door for you here. I'm just not going to keep doing that.
So once you expose that I'm your villain, just know that I'm going to play my part.
Right. That's a good way to say it. I'm going to play the part in the story.
Listen. Got it. I'm you know what? I'll say this. I know we got a lot of things happening, moving, shaking, going down for
and it's almost like you can't even talk about like the good things that you are doing anymore because somebody is like wishing that like things don't go well because you out doing good things. But anyway, continue.
Well, no, you definitely can't talk about your good things while you're doing them. It's like you have to have already done the good thing.
And then you got to talk about it afterwards.
Then you can talk about it in past tense.
You can't be excited on social media about the good thing while it's happening. You can't be
excited in the moment because somebody gonna bring your energy down. Like you gotta be excited in your own way with the people you trust and value. Then after you've lived in the moment enough, and you can deal with the energy that's gonna come with the naysayers, then you can post it, right? And I've noticed that a lot. I noticed that's happening a lot. I notice more and more people used to talk about the moves they doing in real time, right? Oh my God, I got this opportunity to do this. And then if something happened where it didn't happen the way they saw it, then somebody like, man, I knew they was faking. But you don't know what the situation was that possibly led to the situation not happening a certain way. But things don't always align. There's been plenty of times where we've had to make business decisions on the fly on something we thought was locked in. Then be like, man, you know what? This ain't locked in no more. But if we were living in that moment in real time with people they want to see the fall. They want to see the collapse.
Yeah, they want to see it all come apart. Absolutely.
So
they want to see it all come apart and then tell you to take your emotions out of it.
Then take your emotions out of it. It's almost like they have to justify their lives with your failures. Like, you know what?
That's a big one.
That's why I don't try. Because that's what
happens
when you try.
I knew they was gonna fail. Like they out here saying big stuff. So
they always it's talking
like
big.
People. I don't want to say like
Bossfest this, Bossfest that. They ain't doing no boss stuff. I just threw it out there.
So see, this comment says, and I think for coming. Yep, and contracts don't fall through. I had one of them happen to me, and that's 100%. Like if I'm speaking in like full transparency, Kevin and I literally had like a huge life-changing contract happen, and if I can say, I mean, like
Jesus.
money on the line, like real money, to where like we were very quiet and we had to make a lot of moves very quickly to like make this happen. And in the last minute, like didn't come through. But then people hear like, oh man, they doing this, they doing that, and then like something falls through. Good for them. They thought they was to this, that, like, and that's just so sad in this world. And it just brings me back to the whole, like, that's why people close to you gotta be the people that's standing on business.
I think the people who are my friends, I know I see a lot of stuff on social media. They talk about people losing friends and people losing businesses, partners, relationships, and things like that. You know what I believe that's 100% true? I believe people who are real friends are still friends. I believe people who were fake associates have been distanced out of your life. So your real friends are still there. The associates that you made that were trying to enter into a friend space may have separated from themselves, and your enemies are still your enemies. So I'll
say I have to agree and disagree with that, right?
Okay.
And I'll say I agree because I have some friends in my life who have been friends for years, right? I don't even want to say how many years because I don't want to age us all, but to where we don't even have to communicate for months at a time and like lots of months. And then once we lock in, then it's just like we never left each other. But then I've had people who have fallen off throughout the years, and not necessarily they fell off for like one thing or another. We just kind of like, split ways. And I don't wish those people any, negative anything. We just kind of weren't aligned anymore. So they kind of fell off. And then there's those associates who present themselves as though, oh man, we cool and we that, whatever. And like those things are what you're saying, where I'm like, okay, we can agree, disagree, that fall apart because you can only keep that fake activity up for so long. And what I really think those type of people are the ops. Because the ops gotta look like they have good intentions, because how could they get so close to you, right? Like for the ops to get close to you, they gotta appear like they have good intentions. But you have to start watching those things. That person that never has anything to benefit you but always wants to take from you, like just look out for those type of people. But I think sometimes friends don't always have to be like, what I'm saying? Like friends can fall off and it just be like, okay, that was my friend. I don't wish them nothing, but, we just separated. And then again, what you're saying is those associates who, in my opinion, I don't even think they're associates. I think they were ops. Like we have, let's call them business associates, right? That we don't associate with every day, but we really do mean them well. And those are the people that we can pick up the phone right now and say, I ain't talked to you in a couple months, but like, let's kick it on some business stuff. Like I need you for XYZ and I need you. And those people will be like, I got you, whatever you need, I got you. Like those are the type of business associates that are really associates. The type of people that you were talking about are 100% the ops. And that's just the way that I see it. And ops are designed to use you. Like they can't come up with information on their own. They can't level up by themselves. They need to take from you to make themselves better. And then once they're found out, of course, you see those things separate. So ops can never stay around, too long, because eventually you see them for what they are.
And there it is. So, as we get ready to close out this episode of the Bossfest Podcast, we hope you got something out of it. Listen, the content, the views that we share on our show, entertainment purposes, but it's also for educational purposes as well. We want everybody to be able to take the information, digest it, process it in their own way, their own terms. Listen, use it, use the pieces you can, disregard the pieces you can't. But it's all about growing and becoming better. And that's the vision.
No, you didn't get you a little disclaimer. Okay.
I'm trying to be better with this.
I see. So I want to say, like, all this is a part of our business journey and our entrepreneurship journey. So I agree. Well, we are the creators of Bossfest Podcast and events. We do want to share our inside views of what Bossfest is and how we go on our journey to success. And that's our failures and our successes.
It's definitely our failures and successes. And without either one of those, this journey into entrepreneurship wouldn't even be possible. It wouldn't even be worth it. If everything we did was just winning, what's the point of putting in the work of becoming better? Because you fail, you get up and try to become better and to minimize the failure the next time. So, with that being said, we thank y'all for tuning in.
Well, before you just kick us off, I
was going to do it at Edwina, and you stopped me.
Yes, listen, I would love for everyone to join us. This weekend, there's a lot of things going on. So I do know that there is an entrepreneur event in Haines City on Saturday. I want to make sure I get the information because I love for all the entrepreneurs that are listening to us to join us as we get education. So it is the Black Business Expo that is happening in Haines City, designed to educate, empower, and elevate. So definitely check that out. It's at the Oakland Auditorium in Haines City, Florida, this Saturday. I believe it's from 9 to 7. Don't quote me on the time, but be there, get the education. It is a free event, so definitely check that out. And then after we go and get our education on Saturday between 9 and 7, we will be hanging out at the Black and White VIP Gala. That will be at Domain Avenue. So check with Wanda Gaines for your tickets for that. It is going to be live jazz, hors d'oeuvres, music. We will be dressing up in our finest and showing out Saturday night. So y'all come hang out with the Bossfest family as we do that as well. That is all I got for you.
Wow. Let me put that on my schedule.
Oh, by the way, your Saturdays are booked. You are booked and busy.
I thought I was sleeping in and reading books, and you said I'm going to Business Expo and the Black and White Gala. Guess I better get my reading in now. I guess I'm not reading no more. I just got to be illiterate. All right, y'all. That's it for the Bossfest Podcast this week, man. Catch us next time.
We will see y'all next Wednesday at the regular time. I apologize. My time zone is off, but I appreciate y'all working with us. Thank y'all.
We out. Peace.